Yeah, good everyone. Welcome to today's podcast. It's nice having you around. I think this is our first podcast this year actually, and I believe this year will actually be better because each year comes with new instructions, new dealings, and new levels. In terms of our growth in God, and so we learn every day. We come across things every day, and the best way to start the year is what does this year hold for me, and you know what's what will God have me do this year? That's like the most important question that should start every year. Because first of all, this journey with God or our Christian walk is not about ourselves. It's not about our life, but what God wants to accomplish through us. What He wants to reveal to our generation through us. And so being yielded simply means we are submitting ourselves to God's plans for our lives, God's agenda for our lives. As it is in heaven, so it is on earth. So my life should be patterned to how it has been scripted in heaven. And so that is the understanding I have of this Christian walk with God, or this journey with God. And so today being our first podcast for this year, one topic we'll actually be talking about is discernment. And we'll talk briefly about discernment and why you should not outsource your discernment. And so we all have an idea of what discernment actually is or what it entails. So we're talking about why you are not expected to outsource your discernment. You know what it means to outsource your discernment? Simply means you allow someone discern for you, allow someone do the decision making for you, tell you where to go, where not to go, what to do, what not to do. Like when I talk about some, I'm talking about a fellow human being, but on the norms or normally the way it's supposed to be, we are supposed to be able to have our own sense of discernment as believers or as Christians. So I'm going to take us through different verses today. I'm going to take us through different verses, and we're going to see how and why it's important for us to, have our own sense of discernment. It's, for me, discernment is one of your weapons as a Christian. One of your armors, or one of your, battle axes. It's like a weapon for you. Your discernment is a weapon. Your fruits are a weapon. Because you need these things in warfare. You need to be able to discern if you are going to be effective in warfare. There are different kinds of warfares and different levels, and so discernment is actually key. And bearing fruit or having fruits, the fruits of righteousness, they're actually key to when it comes to warfare or your normal Christian life, because life on earth is a warfare. Every day the demons are fighting against you to push you out of the way of God, out of the path of life. It was the psalmist that said that will show me the path of life. So we'll be talking about why you should not really outsource your discernment and why it's important for you to actually exercise your own discernment as a believer, as an individual, as a child of God. So we're going to open our Bibles to Revelations chapter 1 verse 6. Revelations chapter 1 verse 6. And he's talking about Jesus Christ. He has made us kings and priests unto God and his Father. To him be glory and dominion forever and ever. And so being a priest, we're a kingdom of priests and kings. And so each of us is a priest first over his life. You are the first priest over your own life, not somebody else. And so let's say you're a father now. You're a priest over your family. Do you get, like, it is up to you to be able to discern things as the head of a family or as the leader of a group. Like, if God is going to commit any form of spiritual leadership to you, or any, like, every leadership, any form of leadership God hands over to you is a spiritual kind of leadership, and it's expected that you follow his direction. The same way Moses led the children of Israel out of Egypt. And so, like, discernment now, let's imagine you're the father of the family now. Will you now have to go and be calling your pastor for every decision you have to make for your family members? Does it make sense? It doesn't. And so it is expected that you, being the leader of the family, you're supposed to, like, be able to discern things and help your children make the right choices, help your wife make the right choices, according to how God directs you, according to how the Spirit of God reveals things to you. So, like, that's actually what discernment is all about. You are supposed to be a priest, first of all, over your life, then over your family, then around people around you. You get. So we need discernment to teach a child in the way he should go, he or she should go. Like, a good example is some people would not have become what they become if they grew up in a different environment. I hope you know. Some people will have turned out differently if they went to a different school. I know of friends who I know that if they had not gone to this particular school, they won't have turned out into what they turned out to. You get. And so and at that point they could not even make decisions for themselves. You get. So where was the spiritual leadership in their life over their lives from their parents? It wasn't really there. And so it's easy for us to outsource a whole lot of things to church, but we are supposed to take certain responsibilities for certain things in our lives and for those around us or for those close to us. How we go on trying to say. So sometimes not allowing a child, I don't know why I'm talking about children, but not allowing a child to do this particular thing or to go to this particular school or to attend this particular program will actually save that child or save you from something that you won't have even known was there in the first place. That's what discernment is all about. Being able to pick things. I know for a fact that my mom didn't allow me to do certain things, or didn't allow me go to like follow certain paths, like PATHS, like follow. Like, my mom didn't allow me partake in certain things or go in a particular direction. Why? Because it was much later, years later, I knew that if I had gone in that direction I wanted to go, I wouldn't have turned out. I would have turned out differently. Like, it was years later I knew. And so, her discernment, saved me somehow. Yeah, and so that's why that's the importance of a parent who is, attuned to the leading of the Spirit. Yeah, so that's why, so is it your pastor, is it your spiritual leader, or is it your bishop that will come and, give you direction on how to, like, train a child, or, pick certain things and all of that. You understand? So each and every one of us is first of all supposed to be a priest of our lives, be discerning. First Thessalonians. Let's open to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 20. It says, verse 21, it says, despise not prophesying, prove all things, hold fast that which is good. Now, this same 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 20 is also referenced in like a similar passage is also in 1 John chapter 4, verse 1. It says, beloved, believe not every spirit, but try spirits, whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. And so, talking about these two verses now, it says prove all things, and John says test all spirits, and discover that it is up to us to be able to, like, it is expected of us to be able to, like, discern our own way through the world. He says somewhere in Proverbs that there's a way that seemeth right to a man, but the end thereof is destruction. And so if you look at the whole world generally, like the world is somehow structured or created in a way to draw our senses, to draw our senses to make us make decisions based on what you can see, what you can feel, what you can touch, and our fears. And so like that's how the world, works, and that's how our flesh, is created. Like our flesh is how will I put it? Is structured in such a way as to make us make decisions based on our senses, our physical senses. And so being a Christian, we're expected to make decisions based on our spiritual senses. Isaiah chapter 11 verse 3 says something about that. Isaiah chapter 11 verse 3. Okay, let me read from verse 2. It says, "And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord, and shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of the Lord. He shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears." And so what's he talking about? Like, he won't make decisions just based on what he can see and what he can hear. He won't make decisions based on, what this person told me, or what the news is talking about, or what people are saying in the environment. You get? He won't make decisions based on, the things he's seeing around. Oh, this person is hungry. He won't just make decisions based on what he can see or what he can hear, but what the Spirit is saying. And so if everybody is saying, "Oh, things are going bad," he's not making decisions based on what people are saying, but what is within his spirit. To be a believer simply means you're actually under the government of heaven, and so you are going to make decisions based not on the government of the world or the government of your society, but what heaven expects from you. Yeah, so you shall not judge by his eyes or by the hearing of his ears. What does that say to you? That our physical senses are not meant to guide us in the way. Yeah, something may look good. I'm sure we've had that scenario of maybe you've met a friend, or maybe you've met someone and they had a particular kind of disposition, and maybe after months of getting close to them, you discover that their character is totally opposite. Has that happened to you before? Do you get? And so it's easy for people to mask their behaviors, or mask their identity, or mask their shortcomings. It's very easy, and discernment will save you a whole lot of stress. Your ability to discern will save you a whole lot of stress. Maybe you are a guy who wants to get into a relationship, or a lady who is wants to. You've heard cases of people who before marriage things were so nice, and then after marriage the person just turned. What happened? It's as if they married someone different. So there are cases like that. But me as a person, obviously, okay, I've met somebody, and then maybe some months down the line discover that this person is not even who they seem they are. Okay. Or some people come with you with a particular kind of vibe or particular kind of positive energy, and then before you know it, maybe after a while of getting closer, inviting them, discover that positive energy they were displaying was very fake. They're only doing that just to get into your life. Do you get? Or because they wanted to get something from you. Now, okay, good example. Look at Jesus Christ. A lot of people came to him, "Oh, Jesus, we love you, we like you so much." But Jesus knew their hearts. He could see through them. And that was why he withdrew often, because he knew what was in man. He said so that he knew what was in man. And so discernment will save you a whole lot of stress, a whole lot of emotional pain actually. Because when people come into your life, they either come to add to your life or take from your life. And so discernment helps you protect your circle, protect your family, protect your environment, from weeds. I'll use that word, weeds. You get? From bad fruits, from bad energies. Discernment will help you do that. So that's why it is expected of us to be very, very discerning. Prove all things with the eye of the Spirit. not just with your physical sense. Oh, not just, oh, this person looks good, or this person looks nice, or this or that, but what is your spirit saying? What is your heart telling you? Okay, your decision should first of all come from what your heart is telling you, not from what your senses or physical senses is telling you. There's a way that seemeth right to a man, but the end is what? Destruction. You look at the world today, look at your environment, look at this country, like everybody's doing all sorts of things. Everybody, like it looks so nice, it looks so appealing, but is that really what God wants for you? Discernment will help you know. You will discern, is this what God actually wants from me, or is this me just allowing my senses take over me? You get my point? Because if you choose the wrong path, trust me, you're already walking out of the covering of God. You're already walking out of the presence of God. And when the presence of God is not with you, it's easy for the devil to snatch you away. And so yeah, that's like a brief talk about discernment, why you need discernment. Not just when you want to marry, but every aspect of your life, you need to discern the area you should live, the job, and everything. There are certain people who they move to a particular place and then their spiritual life just went down after they moved to that place. Why? Because that was not where God wanted them to be. Well, maybe that place looked appealing. Okay, a good example is who? Lot in the Bible. Like Abraham and Lot. Abraham told Lot, okay, choose one. And Lot chose the greener part, the fine part. And when Lot went to that greener part, what happened? He lost his family, he lost his daughters, and at the end of it all, he was dejected. We know that story, right? And so that was, Lot lacked discernment. Lot was just allowing himself be led by what he can see and what he can hear. Instant gratification. Oh, it looks very nice. But as children of God, we are called not to live by our physical senses, but by the inward witness directing us. And trust me, if you have discernment for the little things, you can have discernment for the bigger things. So Lot's example now is the place of, he chose the wrong environment. The environment looked nice, but it was wrong for him. And at the end of the day, he lost everything. He discovered that some people, they moved to the wrong place, and then things just changed for them, and then their spiritual life just died. And then before you know it, they had just become totally wrecked. Or maybe they accepted a particular job just because it looked like it had certain perks or certain those things, those nice things, and but then they didn't know that job that they are taking actually led to their own spiritual destruction. Now, I'm not talking about physical destruction, of course, not like they would die, but spiritually they begin to die. You get? Because the essence of our Christian walk is not to acquire the things of the world. It's not to have people worship us. It's not for fame, but for the salvation of our souls. That's the essence of my Christian walk. I don't know about you, but for me, the essence of my Christian walk is salvation of soul. You understand? So what is pushing you? What is motivating you? You understand? So discernment will save you from a whole lot. Now, another thing about discernment is that, now for me personally, I won't trust somebody, I won't trust the discernment or the words or the prophecies of somebody who is giving over to the pleasures of the world. What am I trying to say? Let's read Isaiah chapter 28. Isaiah chapter 28. I'll read from verse 5. In that day shall the Lord of hosts be for a crown of glory, and for a diadem of beauty unto the residue of his people, and for a spirit of judgment to him that sitteth in judgment, and for strength to them that turn the battle to the gates. But they also have heard true wine, and true strong drink are out of the way. The priest and the prophet have heard through strong drink. They are swallowed up of wine. They are out of the way through strong drink. They err in vision, they stumble in judgment. What is that trying to tell us? Wine has caused them not to be able to make clear decisions. Now, what this wine that he's talking about, what's the kind of wine he's talking about? He's talking about the pleasures of the world. Remember the seed and the parable of the sower. He sowed a particular seed, and then some of them were choked up, and what choked it up? The cares and the riches of this life. They choked up the word. Now in Isaiah here, we're seeing that the wine has caused these prophets and priests to err. What does it mean for them to err? It simply means they're prophesying wrong things. Do you get? They are prophesying things that are actually not correct. And how did it happen? Because what they are drunk with wine. Wine of who? Wine of Babylon. Now this wine of Babylon, let's go to Revelations chapter 17. We'll see the wine of Babylon. Revelations chapter 17 verse 2. Remember the part of the Bible that says the whole world lies in the evil one. Do you get? The Revelation chapter. Okay. I'll read from verse 1, Revelation chapter 17. It says, "And there came one of the 7 angels which had 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come here, I will show you the judgment of the great whore that sits upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication." Okay. So what wine has caused people to err today, that their discernment is no longer sharp? The wine of Babylon. Now it may not be fornication, like not necessarily fornication in the form of sexual acts, but fornication in the sense of idolatry with the spirits. Like it's only through sexual act that you commit fornication with demons. Like when you give yourself over to idolatry, when you begin to worship the world, worship the things of the world, you're already fornicating with the spirits of the world. Do you get? Like their hearts has already become entwined with the spirits that control the world. That's what he's trying to tell us here. They have committed fornication. Simply means they have left the bride. They've left their groom, which is Christ. And then they started intermingling with the pleasures of the world. They started to love vanity. They started to give themselves over to the pleasures of the world, or enjoyment. And so that's why I can never trust the accuracy or the words of somebody who is giving over to the pleasures of this world. If you notice the prophets of old, like when you read through the Bible, the prophets of old, you discover that, yeah, they didn't live a life of indulgence. There was a reason. The more they were not giving over to the pleasures of the world, they sharper their discernment. Now, I'm not talking about just fasting, not just abstaining from food. You get? And I'm not saying, okay, we can't use the pleasures of this world, but when your life is given over to loving the pleasures of this world and its dainties and everything the world offers, those things that are appealing to your eye, they make you feel good. You get, like, they excite you. So when you are giving over to those pleasures, trust me, your ability to discern will become dull. That's just what it is. So I won't trust the discernment of somebody who lives for the pleasures of the world. I won't trust it, because that person's discernment is already corrupted. You understand? How is it corrupted? Because to live for or to love the pleasures of this world, it simply means you are already allowing yourself to be drunk with wine. And when you are drunk with wine, what will happen? Like, you begin to stagger. Do you get my point? It says, there's that part of the Bible that says, love not the world or the things of the world. Do you get? Because if you love the world, the love of the Father is not in you. Now, I emphasize this again. I'm not saying we can't use the things of the world. I'm not saying we can't use nice things. I'm not saying we can't have nice things. What am I trying to say? We should not allow our hearts love the things of this world. Because if your heart loves the things of this world, that is a form of idolatry itself. Like another level of idolatry. Simply means your heart is already worshipping the things of the world above God himself. And that's very bad. Very, very bad. And I believe a lot of people are worshipping or are giving over to the idolatry. They They're worshiping the things of the world. And it's sad, but that's between them and God. Does it mean I can't fall into that? I can definitely fall. That's why I must guard my heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. So if you are going to be a leader in whatever sphere, if you are going to lead people, because they will have to trust your discernment. They will rely on your discernment. Your family members will rely on your discernment. You get your children will rely on your discernment. Your partner will rely on your discernment. And so, are you going to lead them astray, or are you going to lead them in the path of righteousness? And if you are going to lead them in the path of righteousness, are you ready to pay the price? Do you understand? Jesus said, if any man will follow me, let him deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. Are you carrying your cross daily? Are you denying yourself? Because if these two things are not present in your life, denying yourself, carrying your cross, then trust me, your discernment will be very, very inaccurate. That's just it. And whatever spirit is speaking through you, I'm sure that's not the Spirit of God. Because the pleasures of this world will corrupt your discernment. The flesh will corrupt your discernment. When I talk about the flesh, I'm talking about the fruits of darkness. Anger, pride, envy, jealousy, unforgiveness. Those things will corrupt your discernment. They will corrupt your ability to give accurate and concrete directions from the Spirit of God. So I mentioned certain things that will corrupt your discernment now. The pleasures of this world, the wine, you understand, and then the flesh. So when I see somebody who is still very whose life still reeks of fleshly things, and all his mind is in this world, and everything talks about it in this world, I'm not sure I'm to trust that person's discernment. Why? Because the flesh will always pollute whatever God wants to bring out through your life. When the flesh has not been dealt with, the discernment is very low. When the flesh has not been dealt with, the accuracy of your discernment will be low. And so the more the flesh is dealt with, the sharper your discernment. Alright, if we open to 1 John chapter 4, we read from verse 1 earlier where it says, test every spirit. Then if you go down to verse 5, it says, they are of the world, therefore they speak of the world. You get, it's so obvious. So when you see somebody who loves the world and you're saying, okay, that person's discernment will not actually be very, very correct. And the world hears them. Verse 6 says, we are of God. He that knoweth God heareth us, and he that is not of God heareth not us. Hereby know we the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. Beloved, let us love one another, for the love is of God. And everyone that loveth is born of God and knoweth God. But he that loveth not, knoweth not God, for God is love. Okay, and now it's talking about the fruit of the Spirit, which is love. Love for God. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your might, all your strength. And love your neighbor as yourself. And so, when love is not even present in a person's life, I can't trust that person's discernment. I can't. Because out of love comes patience, kindness, forgiveness, So when love is absent in a person's life, and when the person is not displaying the fruits of the Spirit, I can't really trust that person's discernment, because the only thing the flesh will always do is to corrupt. You understand? And the flesh will always corrupt whatever it is that God has placed in your heart. So yeah, while we also watch over ourselves, we should pray for our leaders and pray for, because if the devil wants to get a particular sheep, he goes for the shepherd. You get? Certain shepherds fight certain battles, the sheep do not know they fight. And so yeah, it's a good thing for you to pray for your leaders, pray for your leaders, pray for your pastors, pray for your mentors, pray for your, those that guide you spiritually. Why? Because sometimes if the devil wants to get you, he will go through them. As much as yes, they are there to guide you, it is also your responsibility to sharpen your own discernment. Do you get? To sharpen your own discernment and allow God guide you in the way You understand? And so that, okay, if somebody falls, doesn't mean you'll be helpless. You still have the agency, you still have the ability to make your own decisions. So we'll be stopping there for today, and I pray that God will help us to continually sharpen our discernment. I pray that God will continue to guide us in the right path, because there are a lot of different paths out there. And it's going to take the grace of God to not fall into those wrong paths. I pray that God will continue to guide us through the right path, and God will continue to guide our decisions, because everything that we do should be according to the will of God, not according to my desires, not according to my plans, but according to the will of God. That's the pattern Jesus showed unto us. So I pray that God will continue to strengthen us and keep us in His will. So that will be all for today. I hope you're able to learn one or two from this meeting or this interaction. Like I said, what are some action points? Pray for your leaders. Also, give yourself over to the dealings of God to deal with your flesh, because the more God deals with your flesh, the sharper your discernment. And then do not give yourself over to the wine of this world or to the pleasures of this world, because you don't want to get drunk. If you are drunk, then you begin to stagger. So we pray that God will help us. So thank you for joining. Do have a wonderful time.